guys, welcome to the October recap lab report. So welcome back, fiber friends. I'm Sarah and this is my yarn lab where I partake in everything fiber related, from knitting to crocheting to spinning to dyeing. Anything that you can do with yarn or fiber, I have done it and will continue to do it. Anyways, I'd like to thank all new and returning viewers. I've been watching this channel creep up to close to 1,300 subscribers, and that really means a lot to see the numbers going up. It's the motivation that drives me in part to continue producing videos for YouTube, and it's just a really cozy feeling to know that there's so many of you out there who are interested in similar things to me. More cozy, however, is when some of you subscribers reach out to me and send me messages to say, hey, I live in Pincher Creek, or I live in Lethbridge and you're in Lethbridge right now. It's really fun to feel how small the knitting community can be. It's a small world, guys. So thanks for joining in with me on my videos here. So who am I? Like I said, I'm Sarah. I am coming at you from Medicine Hat, Alberta. Formerly Calgary, Alberta, and you can find me on Instagram as at Yarn Lab Canada. You can find me on Ravelry as Turner Classic, and there is a Ravelry discussion group for this podcast. You can just search for Yarn Lab Canada. All of these links and information will be in the show notes below, and I'm gonna really try hard this time, you guys, to actually put show notes up and a episode thread on Ravelry. So let's get right into it. First off is going to be a giveaway that I have been planning on doing for quite some time now. So let me just get my computer screen back on, because I realized I wrote down the number of who won but didn't go into Ravelry into the forum to see who won. So let's go ahead and see. This giveaway is for a set of needle minders and a needle gauge that was generously donated by Barbara, who has the Knitting I Love podcast. She makes these fantastic sort of carved felt needle minders. They're really great, really handy, and a lot of fun. And she gifted a set to me, as well as a set for you guys, way back before I had my boys, in, I think, May. From her podcast, she does her, like, in the jar segment, where she puts podcasters in the jar, and I got pulled out of the jar, and won this set that I really needed to give away. The way I was going to give it away was back at the end of August. I suggested that you leave me a question in my Ask Me Anything thread, in our Ravelry group, and I went ahead and used a random number generator to draw a question. I went all questions that were posted after that sort of giveaway announcement at the end of August, so that gives us from post 6 to post 18, and the random generator, randomnumbergenerator.org generated number 8, and that is Rosanna. She is asking, the question that she asked is, what sort of yarn and fiber do you like to spin the most? So on my wheel, I have done a lot of spinning with a fiber from a sheep called English Fin. I actually spun all of the yarn for my exploration station knit from prepared English Spin combed top. And it just gave a really squishy, amazing yarn. English Fin is sort of, it's a soft wool, and it's got a bit of a longer staple length than merino. It's not as soft as merino. It kind of feels a little BFL-y when you're spinning it, but the cost to get a hold of English Fin is a bit cheaper than BFL is. So I guess that is one of my favorites because I've done so much spinning with it. Anyways, Rosanna, I will be contacting you on Ravelry to let you know that you won this set of needle minders, and I will also include a handful of minis in your package. So I will be contacting you to get your mailing information. anyways, that's it for giveaways right now. I do want to do a bigger giveaway in the future with some yarn and maybe a project bag. But I'm going to save that for 1,500 subscribers, since I think it's reasonable that we might hit 1,500 subscribers soon. So if you want to see that giveaway happen soon-ish, spread the word about this podcast and this channel. Maybe share one of my videos on Ravelry or Instagram. Get the word out there, get the numbers up, and there will be a large giveaway at 1,500 subscribers. So speaking of my YouTube channel, since having the boys, I do have twin boys who are now 5 months old, it's unrealistic to expect to get a regular filming schedule of a podcast every week or even every 2 weeks. So what I'm going to aim for going forward is what I'm going to call a lab report, which is going to be an official full-length podcast, which will happen at the beginning of each month, and will cover all of the fibery goodness that have been going on over the previous month. So this is the October 2016 lab report, and is coming to you the first week of November. So that's what I feel like is a reasonable thing to aim for as far as producing a consistent, more structured bit of content for you guys. Now, of course, if you've been following my YouTube channel at all, you'll know that I also love just producing short videos here and there, spinning projects that I might be working on, and I promise there will be some spinning videos in the next month. It's just a matter of getting the time to get on my wheel, which for some reason, because the wheel's kind of tucked away in the corner, doesn't happen as frequently as the knitting does. But I promise the spinning videos are coming, guys. So there will be more short videos posted as things go along, but the beginning of every month there will be a formal podcast, long format lab report. So that's what to expect here going forward. I would love to get back to a weekly or even bi-weekly podcast one day, but with twin baby boys, with moving around as much as we will be over the next year, with having in-laws coming to stay with us and going back to Ontario and staying with us again, just filming on a more consistent schedule is not manageable for me right now, but it will happen again, I promise, because when I was pregnant, I absolutely adored filming every week, and it really had the creative bug for me to drive me to knit faster, spin faster, and create more. So that's all the business stuff, but the real reason that you guys are here is for the yarny goodness. So let's get right into it. Finished objects for October. So I'm going to take a page out of Mina Phillips' book. She is the fantastic knitting expat, and each month she keeps track of her knitted yardage. So this month I completed 6 hats, which were 5 baby size hats and 1 adult hat, as well as a child's dress, and that came for a cumulative yardage of 1,173 yards, or 1,072.5 meters of yarn out of my stash this month. Part of why I want to start focusing on really keeping track of how much is going out is the stash is starting to get a little unmanageable. What you see here is just a fraction. This is, oh, here we go. This is just a fraction. I think of this as like my inspiration coming up next kind of wall, so I can see the yarns that I really want to get working with. I can put them beside each other and visualize the projects that are going to occur. But this is the tiniest of fraction of the stash. What you don't see, and what I will one day put together a flash your stash video, is everything in my closet up here, as well as all of the bins in the basement downstairs. So the plan for 2017, and I'm giving myself some leeway to get stash happy between now and Christmas, is in 2017 I need to have stash out be double stash in. So that's going to be based on yardage, not on weight, and that's going to mean my knitting and crocheting fingers are going to have to be super busy to allow me to continue purchasing and having stash come in. I need to be making sure that the stash is going out twice as fast. So that will hopefully stash me down a little bit over 2016. Anyways, just over a kilometer of yarn out this month, and I will not admit to anyone how much yarn came in this month. There was a acquisitions video that I showed you a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half ago. The mailman has been very busy in the last week and a half. I will show some of that acquisitions now, but most is going to be sort of presented to you guys as the projects get done with it, to avoid being a complete yarn glutton. Speaking of which, not that that's a bad thing, the Yarn Hoarder has started her podcast, and I showed Kevin I was watching it and I showed him the full wall of bins, like the cubicle bins of yarn that she has behind her in her creating room. And Kevin kind of got a little bit gray in the face that might be eventually where things are headed here. So I keep my yarn, a lot of it, in bins in the basement, so it seems a little bit less overwhelming, but the Yarn Hoarder, man, one can dream, right? Anyways, let's look at my FOs for this month, and I'm going to start with this one that's hanging on the wall right behind me. This is my Toronto Maple Leafs dress. It is a gift for a friend of ours' new daughter. It is knit in the 12-month size so that she will be able to wear it for next year's hockey season. And it is based off of the Strima pattern, which is by Yarn Madness. It is a free Ravelry download. Links to the project page and the pattern will be in the description and in the episode notes on Ravelry. And I knit this from Red Heart Super Saver in white and blue. I have a ton of what I think of as Toronto Maple Leafs blue in my stash. So, I mean, we're from Ontario, and every basically male in my life is a Leafs fan. So there have been many Toronto Maple Leafs hats and scarves that have gone out the door as gifts in the past. So I keep at all times a large Red Heart Super Saver of the white and the blue for emergency Toronto Maple Leafs knitting. Anyways, it's, like I said, it is the Strima pattern by Yarn Madness. I followed the pattern exactly as far as shaping, with the exception of adding a couple of stitches under the sleeves. It is a raglan top-down dress, and typically in a raglan style dress, when you divide for the sleeves, you cast on and pick up a couple extra stitches under the armpit, and this pattern didn't call for that at all. So I added, I believe, 4 stitches under each arm. So that would be sort of the major structural adaptation. In addition, I also did a I-cord cast on for the neckline, which I just think is a sort of really clean cast on for a neckline, as opposed to doing some garter ridges to prevent the neckline from curling in. The other obvious adaptation is I did not follow the striping in the pattern, and instead did striping that mimics the striping on the Leafs jerseys. And I crocheted a maple leaf, and that's just a Red Heart pattern for a crocheted maple leaf. I believe it's a banner. I do have, and I will put the project in the description below, a full strung banner of those crocheted maple leaves, but crocheted a maple leaf and sewed it onto the front. So that will be packaged up and sent on its way on Monday. I've been waiting to film this video before I can send that gift on its way to its recipient. So that was sort of the bigger project that I completed this month, and everything else is hats. Alright, so you've seen hats like this before. I swear to you, this is not the 2 hats that I knit for Alex and Dom. This is a pair of hats knit for friends of ours who are having babies. One of them is going on its way with the Toronto Maple Leafs dress to Emma Sophia, and the other is for a boy or girl. We don't know yet. They're keeping it a secret, even from themselves, so I guess it's going to be a surprise, but who is due the first week of December. And these hats are on their way to Ontario shortly. But this is my baby bear hat, which is a combination of the Bird's Eye baby hat by Liz Sedmick. I have it written down, but I see that my handwriting is atrocious, so I apologize, Liz, for not getting your last name accurate here. But it is a free pattern available on Ravelry, info in the description below, that I just added in some picked up little baby ears. And the yarn for both of these hats is Drops Baby Alpaca Silk, and that's super soft. And the Drops Baby Alpaca Silk, because of the alpaca, has a great fuzzy little halo, and the silk sort of adds a really nice drape and makes the hat deceptively warmer than its lightweight nature would lead you to expect. So, to baby bear hats, and I can't reach the next set of hats, so I have to get up. Up next was a pair of pumpkin hats for Halloween for Dominic and Alex. So here's one and two. This is the Sweet Pumpkin pattern. It is a free pattern by Drops Design. I will link to that on below and the show notes. The yarn is a mystery DK weight orange yarn that feels like it's a cotton blend, but the ball bands were missing. I've had this yarn in my stash for about 2 years now, so it was nice to get some stash yarn out. Orange is not a color that I typically buy, but it is sort of like the most perfect pumpkin-y orange. And the green is Red Heart Comfort Solids, because why not do color work with a DK weight and an Aran weight or worsted weight yarn? I don't know, for hats there's so much leeway. It does make the top pucker, but I think that that kind of adds to the leafiness of the top. I'll show you my nice clean floats in the middle, or on the inside. And I did the bulk of the knitting for these hats while waiting for a root canal and crown at the dentist. Anyways, the boys wore these hats for their pumpkin photo shoot. I will try and insert that picture here. I'm going to be using a different format to edit this video, so you may or may not see that picture, but you can for sure see the photos of my boys wearing pumpkin hats, sitting naked inside of pumpkins on my Ravelry project page or on Instagram. So, 2 pumpkin hats. Hat number 5 is also Halloween related. This little top hat here is the baby top hat by Liz McQueen. It is crocheted from Red Heart Comfort Solids. I will make a mention of the pattern here. If you put in top hat to Ravelry, which is a very simple construction. I mean, it's a circle, some decreases, and a brim. There's a scary number of identical looking top hat and bow tie combo patterns on Ravelry for sale, which are all essentially the same. And there are a few free ones. This is Liz McQueen's free pattern. And while I am all in support of paid for patterns and supporting designers, I was shocked to see the number of essentially identical top hat and bow tie patterns that are listed for sale on Ravelry. I think that when you see so many identical patterns for a very same simple construction, it kind of devalues being a pattern seller a little bit. I don't know. I thought it was kind of not the greatest to see that many literally identical looking top hat and bow tie baby patterns. I think they're kind of intended for newborn photo shoots. But yeah, so highly recommend Liz McQueen's top hat pattern here, crocheted from Red Heart Comfort Solids. And this hat here was so that Dominic could dress as Slash while Alex dressed as Axl Rose for Halloween. And I will have to show off, I handmade those costumes top to bottom, and Kevin and I had matching rock band costumes as well, so I will have to put together a little snippet in the next day or so showing off their Halloween costumes, because I was super proud of them. I got my sewing machine out and got busy. Anyways, this is hat number 5. Hat number 6 is my favorite, and I will put it on. You can fold the brim up as it's intended, but I have been kind of wearing it with the brim unfolded and more slouchy in the back. But this is, of course, everyone can recognize it, the Baa-Ble Hat, which is by Donna Smith, which did used to be a free pattern, but is now a paid-for pattern. I think they had it free for like the first year from publication. Everyone and their brother and sister has knit this pattern or has got it in their queue, I'm assuming, to knit it. I've had it in my my queue's up here. I don't really use the queue functionality on Ravelry very much, but I've had it as an intended pattern to knit for a very long time. And this is my extremely ironic Baa-Ble Hat because it is knit from 100% alpaca. So a hat with tiny sheep on it is made with no sheep at all in mind. This is drops alpaca in the olivine. The black is, I believe, the dark gray mix, the white is the natural, and the blue is Dunkeld Kiss. I think I have my ball bands are from the European labeling, which labels in not English. But anyways, in green, white, black, and blue. Now, the hat does call for you to be using an Aran or worsted weight yarn. And if you're familiar at all with drops alpaca, it is a fingering weight yarn, so I held my yarns double throughout. And I should say that I knit this hat to be part of the Strand Along, which is being hosted by the Sockmatician. Speaking of knit-alongs, the pumpkin hats are entered in the Fawn Knits Halloween knit-along, and the pumpkin hats as well as the Toronto Maple Leafs dress are also in Mina Phillips' Wee Little knit-along, Wee Little Knits. So that is the Knitting Expat. And I will link all of those knit-alongs in the description below. I believe the Strand Along has been extended to November 15th. The Halloween Cal, since Halloween is done now, is over. And the Wee Little Knits, I think, continues until mid-November, but I'm not 100% certain on that. Anyways, back to my Baa-Ble Hat. I knit this bad boy in about just a little over 2 days. I was so hooked on it. I love doing stranded color work. It's very addictive. It drives you to finish the row and finish the next row and finish the next row. It's just something I really enjoy a lot. And I love the way that stranded color work with the floats looks on the inside when you're done. Really proud of how even my floats are here. I've never done color work holding 2 yarns together before, so I was sort of anxious to see how that would affect the tension of your strands or your floats, but everything's pretty much fine. I did, like I said, substitute the 2 yards held together for an Aran weight or worsted weight yarn, which you would think would lead someone to swatch, but I hate swatching, so I just went ahead and cast on. I figured that if the brim didn't fit, that would be an indication that I need to rip out and reknit. But hats are pretty forgiving if you're in the ballpark of where you need to be, because hats can be stretchy, and you can try them on as you're going, so you can adapt the length as you might need to. Hats can be forgiving to not swatch with. And I did a huge pom-pom on top with the white and the blue yarns held together, which I think makes a really great pom-pom. So this hat I've been wearing a ton already. I actually had to go out to the car to grab it from the car. But this is probably going to be my staple hat this winter, and it's super cozy. I've never knit with 100% alpaca before, and it's just so cozy. So that's it for finished objects. Mind the page turning here. I wrote out nice project or podcast notes to make sure I didn't forget or miss anything. So now on to works in progress, and there's some fun stuff here because I finally figured it out. I had run out of storage space and needed to back up some of the stuff off my iPad onto the computer. Whips, and as I was saying before I got chopped out, I invested in some project bags, and in this lovely, love it to pieces Mrs. Brown's bag. This is one of her Lolo Did It yarns. I thought it was Yarn Ink when I originally introduced this bag on I unboxed it on a Periscope, but I thought it was yarn ink. It's not. I wasn't reading. I just ordered it because it looked beautiful. But this is one of Mrs. Brown's bags, and I love it to pieces. This will be my favorite. It's supposed to be a 3-skein project bag, but inside of it is living my 4-skein West Knits Building Blocks Cal. Guys, I really, really, really wanted to finish this by the end of October. It's November 5th now, so it needs to get done and will get done this weekend. I'm on the last section. This whip is a slog. I won't talk about it too much because I have been doing update videos on this project here on my YouTube channel, but I will say that the yarn that I'm using is the fabulous Ridley Sock Base by Sea Turtle Fiber Arts. Highly recommend that you check out her yarns. Her colors are awesome. Her semi-solids, or tonals, whatever you want to call it, that I've been using here, knit up great without any pooling. The colors are vibrant, and I am in love with this project, but it's love-hate because the rows are so long. I have, of course, opted to go big or go home, and I'm on the last section now, which I'm choosing to stripe all 4 of my colors together in. And the fancy thing here is I have upgraded because the bamboo needles, not bamboo, the wooden needles that I was knitting on before, they're just Knitter's Pride wooden circulars, were a drag and super slow. I am giving Knitter's Pride carbons a try. So these are US 5 3.75 interchangeable carbon tips on a 40-inch cord. So this will be a faux. The knitting will be done by Monday. There are all the ends to weave in and blocking, but this will be a faux next time you see it, I promise. Love, love, love the bag, guys. All right, so that is a work in progress. In my Fawn and the Fox bag, and this was one of her reduced price Halloween clear out bags. All of these cats are totally not Halloween specific, in my opinion. This bag is awesome for the year round. So there's her the Fawn and the Fox logo and tag. In this bag is living my baby Playdate cardigan in mint. This is a Tin Can Knits pattern. I knit a blue one for Alexander. Now I'm working on a green one for Dominic. These need to be ready to go by Christmas because the boys are totally going to fit them by now. They're knit in a 6-month size. And I managed to get my pockets inserted, and I am approaching doing the decreases for the shaping of the V-neck to the cardigan, and then onwards to dividing for the sleeves. So this is a priority. The yarn here is Hugh Loco's tweed sock in her mint colorway. The other one that I did was in a mineral blue colorway, also Hugh Loco tweed. So that is the next sort of ASAP project, because it's been languishing. Oh, and I should show you the inside of this bag. Fantastic. So yeah, it was on clear out for Halloween, but I say that this is all seasons appropriate because it's just really awesome cats. So another really great bag. I do have a pair of socks that I've showed you before that are a half object, and I've started on the foot for the second sock. Those are being knit from a Dragonfly Dye Works sock blank, and they are currently misplaced. So I have to find those and finish knitting that pair of socks. But I have one more whip to show you. This is living in my Olds Fiber Week, excuse me, my Olds Fiber Week bag from not this year, but last year when I went to Olds. And this whip is going to be a frog. This is that just awfully, awfully ugly, stripy Karen Cakes shawl project that I cast on while the boys were in hospital. There is no pattern. I was just playing with ideas as far as shaping and striping goes. It's ugly. I have no desire to keep knitting it. So I'm going to frog it, and I think I'm going to reappropriate this yarn into granny squares for a blanket. So this one will be frogged shortly. Because you know what, I was going to persevere and keep knitting it, but it's so ugly and I so don't like it, and it's boring knitting. So it was great at the beginning, and in the hospital it was what I had going, so I did a lot of work on it, and I have not worked on it at all since I brought it home, so it needs to be frogged. Otherwise it will languish as a whip indefinitely. So that's it for whips. I do have 2 projects that are caked up and ready to be cast on as soon as my building blocks cal is done. First off is living in this super adorable Polka Dot Creek project bag. Let's get to focus on her label there. She's located somewhere in Alberta as well. But this is going to be an Across the Pond shawl. That pattern is by Mina Phillips, the Knitting Expat. This is going to be a Christmas gift for my Nana. And the main body of the shawl will be knit in Hugh Loco's Phyllis Sock. This is the Sagebrush colorway. And the lacy border will be knit in her Glitz base, Glitz Sock Puffin colorway. These are actually 2 yarns that I won in Devon Franco-Fee Knits Hugh Loco / Cameo Cal knit along, and I won a pair of beautiful Hugh Loco yarns for knitting that shawl. So it needs to be cast on for another shawl. This is going to be knit and submitted in the Die Another Day podcast's shawl along, which is ongoing, I think, until beginning or middle of December. The details for that knit along are to cast on and knit any shawl, and you do not have to finish it in time. You just have to knit at least 75 grams worth of it. So this guy here is getting cast on the second my building blocks come off the needles as a Christmas gift for my Nana. And the next caked up and ready to go work in progress, like I said, the mailman has been very good to me this month. I kind of went a little bit over the top with bringing some project bags into my life, but they're beautiful. This project bag here is by Prairie Dye Studios, and it's hand dyed fabric that I think came from Bayview Fiber Arts, but wouldn't 100% quote me on this. They were a limited edition set of project bags. The lining is beautiful. The quality of these bags is just amazing, and the little details like putting a stripe of the body color around the bottom, as well as the notions pocket with snap pocket in the inside. There is her label, Prairie Dye Studio. The wrist strap, which can be opened up in case you wanted to loop it through something. Everything about the quality of her bags is amazing. She is a vendor at, there's another loop on the inside, so you could put a notions pouch and attach it in there. She's a vendor at the upcoming Calgary Fiber Festival. YYC. There's another fiber festival that's not the Shindig that's coming up in Calgary in the next week or so, and you can expect a large shop update from her on Etsy probably afterwards. So all of her information, of course, in the description below. But caked up in here is my Sea Turtle Fiber Arts Dark Side of the Moon. This is on her something sock base. I said it before because it's the same base that my building block shawl is knit out of. Sorry. Ridley sock. And this is the Dark Side of the Moon colorway. These are going to be a pair of Smooth Operator socks that I'm going to knit 2 at a time, which I have never done before. It's also an Afterthought heel pattern, again, never done before, by Susan B. Anderson, but I've heard very good things about that Afterthought heel pattern sock. Afterthought heel sock pattern, particularly from Eric from Sticks Plus Twine, highly recommends it. On Knitter's Pride, with like a 40-inch cable. Needles, not Knitter's Pride. These came from Knit Picks. Brain. You can tell it's been a while. So this is next in the works project. They're going to be socks for Kevin for Christmas, and they're going to be knit as part of Candace's Pin Feather and Pearls. She has like a space knit along with someone else going on. So there we go. Alright, so the final section is going to be acquisitions, and I'm going to show you 2 sets of acquisitions that are intended for projects as well. First up, I have a very straightforward acquisition. This is, of course, Cascade 220 in these 2 colors. I think they just number their colorways. They don't really give them fancy names. This is for a secret test knit, so you will see this yarn now, and you will not see it until the designer gives me the go-ahead to show you the finished object. But this is going to get cast on ASAP. It's my first test knit, and I'm very excited about that. Hopefully I work it up super fast. And I mean, if I could do this hat in like 2 days, I should be able to do this one in a couple of days as well. If the boys let me. Oopsies. Sorry, I hit the cord. Alright. The next acquisition is from a indie yarn dyer who is unfortunately going to be closing her Etsy shop, and that is the Wacky Windmill, and the owner is Kim Ward, and she is also in Edmonton, or not Edmonton, in Alberta, I think just outside of Calgary. I want to say Airdrie, but I wouldn't quote me on it. That is her information. Like I said though, unfortunately she is closing her Etsy shop. There is still quite a bit of stuff left, so check it out before it disappears forever. But I grabbed a skein of her hoedown, which is a speckled, I think kind of a speckled neutral on her Glitterati Intense base, which is 84% superwash merino, 16% stellina. Super, super sparkly, soft and amazing colors. This is going to be the natural neutral body, and these are her mini skeins. I had to pick up 2 of them to get enough yardage to do it, but this is her Tough Sock mini set. You get 5 mini skeins, 20 grams each, approximately 460 yards total, 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And this is her Day at the Beach colorway. And together this is going to be the On the Spice Market shawl by Melanie Berg. I've been sort of percolating in my head what colors I would like to do for that shawl for a while, and when I saw that the Wacky Windmill had this really fun, great set of minis, as well as I think that this is going to coordinate as a speckled neutral very nicely with them. Some of the colors of the minis are living inside the speckles of this neutral. They will make, I hope, a beautiful On the Spice Market shawl. So that is on the docket to be cast on in the next little while as well. So that's almost it. There is one thing that I was super excited about and did want to show you. I am a hoarder and collector of knitting magazines in addition to yarn. I cannot help myself. I buy them as soon as they come out, and although I never get around to knitting half of the patterns in them, I drool over the patterns, and I want to draw your attention to the current issue of Knit Scene. There are so many good sweaters in this edition of the magazine, as well as a couple of really great accessories. The cover sweater is super cute and fantastic and rustic, and I think I might invest in some custom woolen mills, their mule spun in a natural color, to do this sweater eventually, because it's just really simple and rustic and gorgeous. Like, definitely check out this edition of the magazine. This color work cowl is beautiful for winter and has been calling my name, so that was another reason why I purchased this one. The whole magazine is basically every project I would probably knit. This vest, and there's one more really, really adorable one. this sweater here with, it looks like you're wearing a lace shirt underneath, but it's like peekaboo lace coming out from under the bottom hem. The body of the sweater I think is DK weight, and then you have a fingering weight lace sort of trim. So just thought I would draw your attention to the current edition of Knit Scene. Check it out. Every pattern in here. Like usually when I pick up a magazine, it's like there's 4 or 5 patterns that I would want to knit. Basically every pattern in this edition of Knit Scene is amazing. So check it out. It's their winter. It'll be on the shelves until January 9th. So lots of time to grab a copy. I have so many knitting magazines, so I will give a little tidbit of what is planned for after Christmas. I want to do a larger knit along in 2016-17. That will be a print pattern knit along. So it's percolating right now, the details, but the idea is that I can't be the only one who buys print patterns in magazines or in books. I also have a stash of knitting pattern books all the time, so I can't be the only one who does this. And unfortunately, I think that what you see in the online, at least knitting community, tends to skew towards Ravelry download patterns, and our print patterns don't necessarily get as much love. So I want to hold a long-running, really big print pattern knit along in 2017. I may possibly take a page out of Mina's book and run it for the full year and draw prizes every 4 months, and encourage people to knit or crochet print patterns with 1 entry for smaller projects and 2 entries if you do a garment, like a sweater, an adult size garment. So that's going to percolate for a while and will start probably January 1st, but it's up here. Anyways, I've run on long enough now. I need to alleviate Kevin from hanging out with the boys. Him and my mom are taking care of them while I do some video filming right now. And get back to my regular life. If you are interested in anything that you saw in this video, details all, like I said, in the description below, and there will, I promise, be project notes on Ravelry. In the meantime, happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy spinning, happy dyeing, happy weaving, happy experimenting with fiber, guys, because after all, this is the Yarn Lab.